Hello, my name's Ben.
And my name is Josh.
And welcome back to FPL Graduates, and welcome back to two graduates who are smiling because it's going to be holding back the tears. Isn't that right, Josh?
Yeah, it's been an awful game week 28. We're looking to just come back on the rebound in game week 29. 100% red arrows, was it, Ben?
Yeah, over 100% for both of us. I don't think that's happened yet this season, so it's a first for everything. And I mean, wow, we got stung hard by those who played their chips, and fair play to them. It was a great strategy to use.
Yeah, definitely. I think I was saying just on that TikTok live then, a lot of players that I didn't think would be so highly owned were highly owned, and I think I got bit quite hard. Reece James, Coutinho, even Rafinha. Obviously, he didn't return, but 85, 90% owned at my rank. It was ridiculous. So a lot of hurdles to overcome, and we just couldn't do it in the end. Who was your main men that you were trying to avoid scoring against you this week?
Well, I was pretty happy that Rafinha didn't score any points this week because, as we know, he was extremely highly owned, and a lot of people did captain him. So a lot of captainers on there, and in fact, they were very unlucky not to get some sort of return, especially in that first game against Leicester. Yeah. But yeah, you have the usual suspects: Reece James, Coutinho, really coming through and showing that form. So yeah, it was pretty unbelievable. What we'll do first then is we'll go in and talk about our teams from last week. We'll get it over and done with. No putting plasters over the wound. Just get in and straight into it. Who wants to go first, Josh?
I'll get mine done out of the way first. Get this shameful experience over. It's really worrying because it's getting to the stage now where I'm nearly at the worst rank of the season. So here we go. So we got 72 points, -8. We're looking at 66 points overall. The hit was worth it by a massive 3 points. So don't count me out on that one. Ramsdale was disappointing, 2 points. He hasn't really kept clean sheets since I brought him in, funny enough. So, yeah, he's been disappointing. I must say Robbo and Trent have been great. They've been really good against West Ham as well. They're probably lucky not to concede. But, hey, Robbo the Green, we can take that. Kilman obviously benched in the second game. Wasn't quite expecting it. He's played every single game of the season for Wolves so far this year. So, yeah, really unexpected. But I think I heard Bruno Lage's press conference. He said that he just needs a rest. He's played all the games, so he should be returning back to the squad. Thiago Silva, better than Rudiger. Not as good as Reece James and not as good as Nathaniel Chalobah. 1 goal, 1 assist, 1 clean sheet, 4.7 million. I think that's someone that maybe a lot of players overlooked going into this game week with a lot of injuries in that back line for Chelsea. Willock, probably the only Newcastle player in attack that didn't get a return. We had Fraser Hall, Wood got a goal, Shelvey got an assist. They were all at it. Even Bruno Guimaraes, or whatever his name is. No Joe Willock, though, which is really, really poor. Bukayo Saka, 12-pointer. That was so needed because after that Saturday, I was in the mud. I think it was 140% red arrow. So him getting 12 points was great. Salah captain didn't pay off, but he had the chances. It was just weren't the day for Salah, unfortunately. So a blank there really did not help the proceedings. Even if I went for like a Thiago Silva, like a lot of people did with the Chelsea defence, it would have been a lot better. Harry Kane as well, massively helping out the rank. He looked really, really good against Everton, but it is Everton, so wasn't really shocked at that. Dennis, 4-pointer. Roy Hodgson's absolutely killed Watford ball, which is really annoying. So he looked probably on the chopping block coming soon. And Armando Broja, again, really disappointing. Wasn't really involved at all across the 2 games. I watched both the Southampton games, actually, and he just didn't look threatening. Shea Adams, much better than him. So if you're looking at Saint striker, I would definitely go Shea Adams. He might have picked up a knock as well, Broja. So not looking too good. And then on the bench, nothing to shout home about. Sanchez, Brighton defence has been really, really poor recent weeks. Cancelo with obviously 2 pointers due to that Sancho goal. Jarrod Bowen injury, which we'll talk about a little bit later, I'm sure. And then Maxwell Cornet with a 1-pointer. Down to 58k from, I think, 26k. So like a 32,000 rank red arrow. My lowest rank this season's only been about 62k. So as long as we don't go deeper than that, I'll be happy. What's your thoughts, Brownell?
Yeah, it was just a case here that it was the wrong assets that were picked, like the Kilman pick. It's like the 1-pointer, and then everyone else in that defense goes and gets a clean sheet. It's the Joe Willocks, like that going for that Newcastle attack. It was a good strategy to go for, and it was just that one player that didn't return. Having a Watford striker, that's your own fault, really. You can't blame anyone else for that. But yeah, like as I said, like there was a few good players in there, and it's just one of those days, frustrating, especially where you see like Thiago Silva not picking up that second clean sheet, which probably would have been crucial. It is just a frustrating week all round for half the players, and then for the other half, it was absolutely mental. So it's just one of those game weeks, and you're sat and set in pretty good stead to sort of attack the game weeks coming into the final few of the season. But yeah, a frustrating one, and I feel your pain as I'm pretty much in the same boat here.
Yeah, definitely right. We'll get your team up and then we'll get into some questions before showing our teams for game week 29. It's going to be a tasty one. I'm loving the look of my team. Have you made any transfers yet, Brownell?
I've not made any transfers yet, but I will be making them tonight because the transfers that I do want to make, they're going to be affected by price rises and falls tonight. Guys, we're expecting a lot of big players to rise and fall in price. Some of the players that you're probably looking to get in are likely to sort of rise, or if the ones that you're trying to get rid of, they could fall tonight as well. Very large list that I was looking at there. So we start off in goal. Ben Foster, 1 point.
Got an assist, didn't he?
1 point. Like, it's more frustrating because I have Guaita on the bench who got 8 points, and you know, I've never had a keeper in my sort of FPL history that every time he's on the bench he returns for me, no matter what. If he's starting, he will play 30 minutes and get injured and come off. It is like that simple. Trent Alexander-Arnold, decent, can't complain about that. Rudiger captaincy feels like a blank, essentially. It's like basically having if I captained Ramsey, it would have been the same. And it was just the luck of the draw. No one was expecting Rudiger to sort of get rested for any of the games. I think he's missed one game all season to be rested, and I think even was that an injury that he potentially had. Cancelo, I mean, I was hoping that they keep a clean sheet. Probably should have over the whole game, but obviously, like a bit of brilliance from Jadon Sancho, you can't complain too much about that. Kilman, like Josh, frustrating. I also thought that Ramsey could cover Coutinho. May have got that one a little bit off there, but one I didn't get off at all was Stuart Armstrong. I saw potential in the lad last week. I brought him in last week. He was unlucky not to get a return that week, and he very much deserved to get the return this week. 10-pointer. Really can't complain about that. A huge differential. Probably the best differential that I've ever had in terms of like points gained from a player. I think I gained 9.99999 points out of that, which is great. Saka, as Josh said, much needed, as well as Raul Jimenez. I needed that after he got benched in the first game. Gets a goal and sort of almost, for me, secures his place for the next fixture in that starting 11 for Wolves. And then, of course, Ollie Watkins up front, in traditional fashion, gets a goal and then a couple of yellow cards this game week as well. So that's what I expect. And then, of course, on the bench, Guaita from Palace, Bowen, Weghorst and Dawson to, sum up a pretty terrible game week, down to 61k in the world. Frustrating because I've spent so long, like last sort of 5-6 weeks, building up to the top 20k, and it all comes tumbling down in one game week.
Yeah, it's really tough. Again, similar to me, like you said, with the 50-50 calls. You got Ramsey, Coutinho. Ramsey had better underlying stats going into this game week than Coutinho, so it wasn't even a bad pick in that regard. The same with Watkins and Ings. Like, Ings has just absolutely gone out of the water with his returns this week. I think I've seen someone triple captain him on Twitter, which is absolutely mental. But yeah, it's just one of those game weeks. I feel like this week you did really well or you did really bad, but whatever you did, you just got to chin up. We go again. Game week 29 is coming. So we'll get into some questions now. I know there's loads of people asking about a lot of Tottenham assets, Arsenal assets, all those guys. So if we cover, say, I don't know, Kolasevsky, for example, then we're not going to go over it twice. So here we go. Doherty or Kolasevsky. Who are you preferring? Interesting. A lot of people saying Doherty's a trap. What's your thoughts on him?
I think Tottenham's defensive underlying numbers have massively improved over recent weeks, and the fact that they're so involved is crucial. So with that Tottenham defence, yes, defensive numbers improved, but I think clean sheets are a bonus with someone like Doherty at 4.7 million for a starting fullback that's getting so involved in attacks. His underlyings going forward are phenomenal. So I think he's a really good option for me and for what I want to do with some of the injuries that I have in my team and some of the moves that I want to make. I think Kolasevsky is a bit better value for me, 6 million, and is producing similar stats to Heung-min Son. So I think I'd prefer to go Kolasevsky purely because, I think he's going to do a bit better. And, I can't rely on Tottenham getting a clean sheet. And if they don't get the clean sheet, then you're sort of relying on Doherty to get returns. And if I'm going to rely on either Kolasevsky or Doherty to get attacking returns, I think I'm going to rely a little bit more on Kolasevsky for that extra sort of 1.3 million.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think Kolasevsky's worth it. He's also very interchangeable for one free transfer. Like we've seen Jarrod Bowen get injured this week. So it's a straight swap, one free transfer, job done. I've brought in Kolasevsky myself this week already for Jarrod Bowen today after the news that he'd definitely be out. I think he's looking to return for the Sevilla second leg. But whether that happens or not, we'll wait to see. I wildcarded last week. Shall I bench boost? So I was thinking about bench boosting this week as well. A few of the injuries that we've seen or potential rotation, like with Brozier, with Kilman, and a couple of others, sort of put me off the idea. But if your team looks good, I would strongly suggest it. Bench boost is one of those chips that you can't really gain. You can't really get it wrong because you can't gain so many points really, unless you decide to put like bloody Trent and Robbo and everyone like that on it. It's not really worth playing like that. But yeah, I think like the maximum gain from a bench boost really, realistically, is probably about 30 to 40 points. So what's your thoughts on bench boosting this week if you're wildcarded?
I would probably avoid almost bench boosting for this game week. I think there's a few sort of things that we don't know. Game week 36 is lining up to be a sensational week to do that. And I think the large majority of people will be doing that as well. So if you kind of wanting to maintain rank, I probably wouldn't. Of course, like you've seen players like us this week have had a massive rank drop, and it's easy to think, look, let's just bounce back quickly as soon as possible and get those returns back and try and climb as quickly as possible by using your chip. I think you need to be patient with it and sort of think a little bit more rationally about it. You could potentially gain a lot more from sort of bench boosting in later game weeks than right now, because I think everyone has those key double game weekers right now.
Yeah, the double game weeks this week are almost a bit catfishy in a way. Like they're tough fixtures, even though there is two of them. We've seen a lot of like Uniteds and Brightons and those sort of fixtures. They're not going to be easy, to say the least. Start Jimenez or Kilman. It's always play the attacker, isn't it, Ben?
Yeah, I think I'd start Raul Jimenez. I think he's more nailed on to start as well. Like Willy Bolly, he was fantastic for Wolves at the weekend. So for me, it's his place to lose right now. He was really, really good, defensively solid. So I'd go Jimenez because I think he starts and I think Kilman doesn't start the next game.
Interesting stuff. So yeah, Lucas here, he's asking what striker apart from Kane is the best to get with a limited budget. I'm going to go first. I'm going to go for Lacazette. He's providing some good numbers despite his price. I think he is overpriced, to be honest. But if you can get over the fact of that, like you said, with a limited budget, 8 assists, 2 goals in I think his last 10 weeks, something along those lines. He's looking really good. He's not going to get you goals, but he will tick over, grab those assists like we saw he did against Watford. Who's your pick in that forwards position?
Oh, I'm just going to bring up the player that I am thinking. See, if he didn't get his injury, it would be Jamie Vardy.
Yeah.
Like he looks really, really good. I'm going to say, apart from Kane, that's the problem there. I think Lacazette's the best other option. So I'm going to try and think of someone who maybe isn't. Maybe the man we were talking about earlier, Danny Ings. Numbers he's putting up are pretty decent right now. And he's playing in the team with Watkins, with Coutinho as well. So they've got like a good system going on where Coutinho's sort of feeding them the balls and they're getting the goals right now. So I don't think you could be doing too badly going with Danny Ings right now, especially with Aston Villa playing in the blank game week.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think we're seeing Gerrard's almost philosophy take place now. Matty Cash almost turning into like Tavernier from Rangers. Their fullbacks are getting forward a lot. And that means they don't have to play with the wingers that they have been playing with before, like Buendia and like Bailey. And we're seeing a lot more narrow football. So Ings and Watkins are good ones to look out for. Glenn's asking Watkins out, Lacazette in. I think for me, I'd do that. I think Watkins, he's just got, like you said, he's picking up, like, he'll do something good and he'll do like 3 bad things at the same time. I just think he's one of those assets that's a bit frustrating to own. And Lacazette's looking quite good and highly unlikely to get rotated due to there only really being him and Eddie Nketiah at the club.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, I'm not making that move myself because obviously Villa have that game in Game Week 30, and my strategy going forwards is to not play the free hit in that week. I know Josh may be thinking differently on that because of how his team's set up, but for me, like, I was trying to make that decision whether I was going to free hit or not, and it all relied on whether I was going to bring in a load of Chelsea assets this week, which I probably should have in hindsight. But yeah, I'm looking to sort of hold that free hit for now.
Yeah, definitely. I'll pick a couple of more questions, and we'll get onto our teams, and then any other questions we'll come to at the end. Bob Larry is asking Willock or Rudiger. I presume this is to start this game week. Obviously, Rudiger, the one fixture against Newcastle, and then Willock has Chelsea and I can't quite remember, Everton away for the second one. So who would you choose out of those two?
So you got to think of it this way. Willock, for me, essentially has a single game week because I don't think he's getting anything from that Chelsea game. So you're looking at Willock away to Everton and Rudiger at home to Newcastle. I'm going to be safe and say Rudiger. I think he won't be benched 2 weeks in a row, and I think, you know, it's a solid 6 points. It should be guaranteed.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Newcastle have been unbelievable the last few weeks. I've been watching a few of their games. They've been looking really good. Eddie Howe's been playing well, but it's a tough decision, to be honest. I can see why you wanted advice on it. Everton defensively really poor, but like we've just seen, Willock hasn't scored in 2 games where everyone else has for Newcastle attack. So it's a tough one. I don't know. I don't know if I could pick between those two, to be honest. I'd flip a coin, to be honest. I'm just tempted to say the double game week player, because then worst case, Willock's going to get 4 points, and then like Rudiger's never got the chance of getting 4 points unless he gets a clean sheet. So I'm going to go with Willock. I'm going to back my boy, and hopefully he does the business this week. One more question, and then I will go into our teams. Luke's asking, evening lads, who to bring in, Kolasevsky or Robbo? Bearing in mind I'd have to take out Rudiger or Willock. Well, Liverpool have got the best odds for 2 clean sheets this double game week. So I think Robertson immediately is a better option than Kolasevsky. He's probably got more attacking threat than Kolasevsky as well. Taking out Rudiger, though, I think that's a bit of a tough move. Obviously, Chelsea blanking 30, but so the Liverpool. Chelsea's fixtures are good. What would you do, Ben?
Oh, I would. It all depends on the format of this guy's team, really, because you've got to sort of make sure that you have enough players for that blank game week, don't you? So if he is looking like he's running low on players for that blank game week, then you'd probably look to bring in Kolasevsky. But I think, you know, if he's got potential to sort of really attack this game week, go for Robbo, and then potentially be able to transfer some of those guys out for, you know, not too many hits. I think it could be worth it. I think in terms of which one I think is going to score more points this week, I think it's going to be Robertson. Yeah,
I definitely agree with that. Right, so we'll come to your questions again after we show you our game week 29 team. So I'll get the ball rolling with this one. So yeah, I'm playing 3-5-2 this week. In net, Ramsdale, double against Leicester and Liverpool. Tough games, to be fair. If he gets 1 clean sheet, I'll be very happy with that. Defense is looking tasty. We've got the Robbo Trent double up. As I said, the best odds to get 2 clean sheets out of all the doublers this game week. Brighton have been quite poor recently. Arsenal been quite good, but Liverpool's record against Arsenal is very good as well. Thiago Silva, Newcastle at home. Wouldn't be shocked if he gets rotated. They've got the Champions League game in the midweek afterwards against Lille. So we've seen him be so instrumental to that Chelsea defence. Christensen's now back. They've got Chalobah. Few injuries in there, but I think if there is someone to be rotated, it could be him, but the bench will cover him at least. Like we've been mentioning, Joe Willock, obviously a bit disappointing last game week, but he's in there again. I'm hoping for at least one return. He's got to return once in 4 games, surely. It's just a matter of probability. Bukayo Saka, easily Arsenal's best midfielder. He's looking unbelievable right now. Leicester at home, really poor defence. Then Liverpool at home, again, still could be got at. We've seen Liverpool be quite frail at sometimes, like we've seen at West Ham. If they had some better finishing on that day, they probably potentially lose that game, Liverpool. Mo Salah's on the captaincy. I just can't go against him, even though he done me dirty last week with missing those chances, and he's missed some in midweek as well. I think the goals are there, and they are coming with Mo Salah. Cornet away at Brentford. I'm actually looking forward to this one. Brentford defensively quite poor. Cornet is probably just coming back from that injury now. I think he's in the team. So hoping maybe just a goal or an assist, it would be lovely. Big differential going into this week. Kolasevsky, as I said, transfer in for Jarrod Bowen this week. He's looked really good. I had my eye on him as soon as they signed him because I know he's got quite a lot of potential, the Swedes. So Man United away. United have been defensively poor. Varane is back now, so they do concede a lot less when Varane is in the team. But him and Doherty down that left side against Alex Telles could be interesting. Brighton away as well. Like I said, Brighton's defence has been quite poor. Since they lost the likes of like Dunk through that red card against United, a few suspensions and injuries haven't done them justice. Harry Kane, Man United away, Brighton away, in the form of his season really at the minute. He's been playing really well, linking up play, looking dangerous. Finally a striker that we could probably rely on, which is something we've been looking for a while now. So yeah, definitely even a captaincy option. I wouldn't be shocked. Like, it's not a bad choice to go for him in captaincy. I just prefer Mo Salah personally. And then, as I said, Armando Broja potentially picked up a knock in that Saints game last night. He seemed to like hobble off in the 70-odd minute. But I hope he plays because that Watford defence looks absolutely terrible. And then on the bench, as I said, Sanchez got the double, but I doubt he keeps a clean sheet in either of those games. Dennis, Southampton away, Kilman, Everton away, and then Cancelo, if he plays, Palace away. I think Cancelo, for me, probably doesn't play this week just because of that illness. And if he's not really been fit, I just don't see him starting with the amount of depth that City have. They've been playing even youth players in the Champions League, which is insane. So, yeah, that's the team for this week. What are your thoughts, Ben? Anyone you'd probably chop and change?
Yeah, so you've made your transfers already, is that right?
I've made one of them. There is potential to take a hit, but I'm leaning against it for the time being.
Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. I'm thinking that even like benching Cancelo is a bit of a risk. I think, in my opinion, he either starts or he doesn't come on at all. There's obviously Pep, so we don't know, but City do play on Monday night, so there is a bit of time there for Cancelo. Hopefully, he's sort of back ready and raring to go. Broja is like a frustrating one. There's a couple there that you sort of say in the sort of short to medium term that you might be looking to get rid of, potentially Cornet, Willock, the players like that, and there's some decent potential there. The foundation's there. I think the double up on Liverpool is going to be dangerous and it's going to get a lot of points as well.
Yeah, decent stuff. I like the mid-price midfielders are great because they're so interchangeable at the minute. We've got so many options. Like, even if you don't want to go Kolasevsky, you've got Martinelli. You've got so many options that are doubling this week. Like, I could even go Cornet to like Martinelli and it'll be a pretty decent move, and he's cheaper than Cornet as well, which is good. So let's go on to your team, Ben, and let's see what you've come up with for this game week.
Yeah, so I haven't made my transfers yet, so bear that in mind, guys. I'll probably end up making them at some point tonight. So we're looking like this at the moment. Somehow Foster is starting in goal again. How it's happening, I don't know. I've started Cancelo because of what I just said. I think he either plays from the start or doesn't play at all and doesn't feature. So I'm okay with that. Rudiger and Trent, that's sorted, easy as you like. Bowen is probably most likely going to become Kolasevsky. Stuart Armstrong's going to stay for this week and he's going to go next week. Saka, and then, of course, Salah captaincy. Watkins, Weghorst is going to be Harry Kane. That is all but confirmed. He's going to be in the team, Harry Kane, and Jimenez up front. And then on the bench, Dawson, Kilman, and Ramsey. I think that's how I want to sort of do my bench. Maybe Ramsey up one for Kilman, but that's how we're looking at the moment. So it's going to be Kane for Weghorst and Kolasevsky for Bowen, with a view for next week potentially going into a Leicester midfielder for the blank game week. So what are your thoughts, Josh?
Yeah, it definitely looks good. Nice planning as well with the Leicester midfielder. I think they're going to be crucial to get in for game week 30. So maybe even this week, a lot of people could probably look at them. Armstrong, good option. He seemed to play a lot more central last night. What I saw against Newcastle, which saw him get his goal, which was good news for you. And I think the rest of it looks good. Jimenez is interesting. So I just think, like, it's been so poor. Obviously, he got that goal, and when he tends to score, he gets bonus points. So his hauls are good. But I think for me, I'm not a massive fan. And I think Spurs did Everton a bit of injustice with their defence. Like, Spurs were really good despite how bad Everton was at the back. I don't know what your thoughts are on that Everton Spurs game, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I think Everton were just as bad as Spurs were very good on the night, and I think the system matched that. Like the system Spurs plays really helped them win that game. So I'm still confident that Spurs will get goals in this game week, which is why I'm going to bring in a double up, and especially the fact that they've got the best game in game week, in the blank game week as well. So that's my thoughts on it. Basically, what I'm going to do is make my transfer tonight so I'm not priced out of my move next week, because as it currently stands, when I bring in Kane and when I bring in Kolasevsky, I have the exact money to go from Armstrong to Harvey Barnes.
Decent moves. We'd love to hear it. Right, we're getting some questions now. Ben can take the first one because my laptop's going to die and we can't have that. So bear with me 2 seconds.
So Foot Chaos asks, is there any problems with adding Chelsea assets into this team with the current circumstances? Can't imagine it affecting it, but not too sure. Honestly, I think you're probably, well off to get Chelsea assets in your team. I don't think it's going to impact them much. In fact, I could almost say it could go the opposite way, and those Chelsea players could play better. We saw last night Mason Mount really looked very good, and I think Chelsea could up their game as a result of it. You saw Tuchel's comments last night where he said, look, everyone was watching the game waiting to laugh at us, and look what happened. We won. So I think it is, with their run especially, like Chelsea have got a lot of good games in a row. You're going to be silly not to go with Chelsea assets. Yeah,
I definitely agree. I don't really see it stopping them from playing. Like, I think that would be a step too far. I think what the embargoes that they've got already is probably sufficient enough. Yeah. Obviously, a lot of sponsorships will be taken out and stuff like that, but that's nothing that's going to stop them playing football. So we'll see, but I just don't think it affects FPL too much, to be quite honest with you. Shiv's asking here, bringing Lacazette and a 4.5 million midfielder, or Doherty and someone like Kolasevsky. He's got Son already. What was your thoughts on that? A 4.5 mid for me, probably the best option right now is Gordon. I think he's a decent little option at 4.5. Yeah. Which side would you go for?
I think if you've already got Son, then I think you're safe enough without Kolasevsky. Like, I know a lot of people have been debating whether it's worth going Son to Kolasevsky, which is crazy to me. I think if you've got Son in already, he's a good enough asset to own for that price point. So I'd probably go maybe Lacazette and a 4.5 million mid like Gordon, try and take advantage of it. So yeah, I think, it's a risk sort of going with Son and Kolasevsky. I think you can get away with one and still have a really good midfield.
Yeah, I think tripling Spurs as well, which is what would happen there, is not necessarily ideal either. I think you don't need two. You need one of Kane and Son, and then a double up is probably quite nice to have. Yeah. Other than that, I don't know if you really need it. Lacazette looks quite good as well. I'd strongly recommend him this week, and Gordon also doubles this game week as well. So anything could happen with him if you're starting him. Harry's asking here, who's the best goalkeeper for 5.1 million? I'm not even sure who's under 5.
Very precise. Precise.
Someone is maxing out their budget in their team
100%, right
now. So are you getting the goalkeepers up, I take it?
Yeah, there's an easy decision here.
Is it?
Aaron Ramsdale, 5.1.
Job done. I think, well, to be fair, wait a minute, because there's someone else that I'd consider as well is Schmeichel. Obviously, he doesn't double, but he does play in 30. So if you're not free hitting or whatever, 30s, Schmeichel's pretty good. Brentford at home. Brentford have been pretty poor, other than that Norwich game where Tony got a hat trick. So
I mean, yeah, he was in my considerations, to be fair, for game week 30 as well, for 4.8. Like, it's just that little bit cheaper. So last week he was in my plans. But yeah, like, definitely two great options in goal. And Leicester are improving defensively with every week that goes on.
Yeah, definitely. Michael here, I feel stupid typing after his performance yesterday, but Foster or De Gea. Obviously, De Gea and Man United, they face Spurs this week. Foster has got Southampton, I do believe. Is that right?
Yeah. For me, I'd go De Gea because even if Man United get peppered by Harry Kane, I think De Gea is still going to make saves. Whereas Ben Foster, he's not one that gets typically a lot of saves in a game. He got a lot against Man United. Which it's going to happen, but against a team like Southampton, like, their finishes are clinical, so I would say De Gea is probably better.
The slide dig there, I love it. I'd agree with De Gea as well. He's saving us this season, so literally, and
puns for days.
Really interested to hear you guys' prediction on Man United versus Spurs, considering Kane captain. Let's be honest, Josh's laptop isn't the only thing dying. The Red Devils are as well. Here we go. It's a lot of Man United slander this week. It must be not a lot happening in the world of football.
Well, Arsenal have had their 2 good weeks, so
yeah, exactly.
You know, it's
they'll be brought back to reality when they face Liverpool this week. Right. So United Spurs, I can see it being a score draw. I doubt United lose just because Varane's back. Varane makes United's defence so much better than what it is without them. So for me, I see Spurs getting a couple of goals. Spurs, although they've been good the past recent weeks, let's not forget they did lose to Middlesbrough. They've lost to Burnley. Like, there is a few bad results before this Leeds and Everton game where both defensive have been really, really poor. So yeah, I think it's a tough one to call. I'd go draw for me. What do you go, Ben?
Yeah, I think a 1-1 draw is probably fair, and I think Kane gets the goal as well. So it's interesting to see whether people will captain him this week, because I think he has got potential to score a lot of points, and the points predictions that we're seeing suggests that as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think it'd be interesting to see if he's over 100% EO as well, because if he is, I'd be really gutted with that. I'm hoping he's not. Last question we're going to go through here, and then we're going to call it a day. Should I transfer out De Gea, Ramsey, and Bowen, and then get in Ramsdale, Kolasevsky, and Odegaard? Loving the stream, by the way, lads. Thank you, Isaac. For me, I presume this is a -8. Would I take a -8? Probably not. I don't know about you, Ben. What did you do there?
I would be happy waiting an extra week for Odegaard, and maybe transfer out De Gea and Bowen in that situation, and maybe bench Ramsey for this week, and then just leave it a week and then bring in someone like Odegaard. I think that's the play, I think. But yeah, I don't think you need to make all 3. I think you can get away with 2 transfers and it being a good week for you.
Yeah, I could easily see De Gea outscoring Ramsdale even over 2 games. Like, Ramsdale's got 2 tough fixtures. Like, he's got Leicester, who are good going forward. We've seen that. And then he's got Liverpool, and we don't need to really explain how good they are going forward. So, yeah, I'd get Bowen out for sure. But the other 2, Ramsey and De Gea, they could probably stay and do a job this week, no problem. So, yes, that wraps up Game Week 29. We are 9 game weeks away from the end of the season. It's been a bloody fast one, Ben.
Yeah, it has indeed. And it's getting to the business end where, the graduates need to step up the game. The last couple of weeks, it's not been good enough from us. And we just got to try and get back on track. And yeah, as usual, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Go follow us on all of our socials. We're here, there, and everywhere. And as usual, I've been Ben.
I've been Josh.
And we'll see you guys
later. Have a good game week, everyone.